So only
Can I
1
speak?
minute. So, we have Father Rector, Father Francis Xavier. Father, can we have a small word from you too, Father, before the program starts?
Yeah, good evening or good morning. I'm very happy to see all of you here. It's a wonderful arrangement to meet two great people, Professor Alston Rozario and Professor Carlton Young. I remember them as I was also a professor of physics. They were not only academicians, but they were administrators. I remember Professor Young, after leaving Loyola, he was teaching in Liba. And we have been trying to get Professor Rozario because he was known for discipline as well. So on behalf of the Jesuits and Jesuit management, I want to thank these two great professors and also welcome all the alumni and alumni of Loyola. Let us have a nice evening meeting them, sharing the experience with them, and still they have the words of wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you.
So at this time, we can start our program. Thank you, Father, again. And my name is Matthew Thorakan, and good evening to everyone, and good afternoon in some places, and good morning in some places like US. We are extremely delighted to have both of you well-known professors in the Loyola's history. US alumni chapters were inaugurated during Father Jayapathy's and board members' visit from Chennai in September 2018. US Loyola alumni have 4 chapters. We divided into geographical area. One is Northeast, South chapter, West Coast chapter, and Midwest chapter. And new members, when they come to US, we added them and placed them into the chapters where they belong, where they're resident. And we also have city groups like Dallas, Houston, Chicago, Washington, DC, New York, Philadelphia, and Boston. During the last 2 years, we have conducted multiple social gatherings, speaker series, webinars, and now this is our second Meet Your Professor series. And we are planning to have more in upcoming months. And in 2019, we had Father Francis visited in US and attended some of the meetings in Boston and Philadelphia. At this time, I would like to introduce our international convener, Mr. Marcy. I just wanted to say a few things about Marcy. Initially, when he took the international convener's job, he thought he can do it real easy. He never thought that international has different time zones. So he thought he can use the Chennai time, but he couldn't do it. So he couldn't sleep. All these years, last 2 years, he couldn't sleep. The night he calls Australia, the morning he calls in people in US, and midnight he's wake up and he calls people in New Zealand. So that is what Marcy is. So I welcome Marcy at this time to introduce his own professors. Marcy?
He's on mute.
Mute.
You can do it.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Matthew, sir, for the elaborate introduction. I don't think I deserve that. But anyway, when you had asked me to introduce the two professors, I was privileged to introduce them because they have always been my mentors throughout my lifetime. Thank you, sir. And let me first introduce Professor Carlton Young. He is done his MCom. He joined Loyola College in the year 1971, June, and he retired in May 2005. The last 4 years of his academic, he was the HOD of the Commerce Department, served as the coordinator of Shift 2 Commerce courses for 4 years. Since 2001 till date, he's been working as a guest faculty of LIAC, teaching accounting and finance for BBA program in collaboration with the French University. He's also served as the guest faculty at Liba for 20 years. Then he's Mr. Alston Rozario. He's done his MCom, MPhil. He joined Loyola College as a lecturer of Commerce Department in the year 1973. He was the assistant warden of Loyola Hostel from 1973 to 1977. He has served as the vice principal of Loyola College, vice principal of Loyola Evening College, vice principal of Loyola College Shift 2. He was a coordinator of the Commerce Department for Shift 2. He retired in the year 2009. He has been appointed as a part-time professor from 2009 till date. This is the history of our professors, but I would I would like you, sir, to give us a brief introduction about yourself. Let us start with Professor Carlton, sir, since he's elder to us. Carlton, sir.
Well, I belong to a place called Kannur in Kerala. I did my schooling and my PU there. And then I came to Loyola to do either maths or physics. I was very good in maths. When I came to Loyola, then Principal Father Sequeira told me, boy, I can give you only commerce or history. No other courses available for you. Now, I was really shocked. History I knew was out of the question. Commerce, I had no idea what I was taking. But somebody told me there is a maths in it. Okay, I said, fine. Only later on I came to realize the only maths required was addition and subtraction. Anyway, I took it up. Finished my BCom, then joined for my MCom, completed it in 1968. I still remember at that time, the last class we had, late Professor Seshan, a great man, he was head of the department. He was asking all of us as to what you plan to do. When it came to me, I said, well, sir, I'm going to take up a job. Because those days, getting a job was not very difficult. That is, I'm talking about 1968. Then he told me, why don't you come and teach? I said, no way. I can't stand in front of students and talk. My knees will all shake. And those days, the BCom students of Loyola were a terror. You won't believe it. 1968, I'm talking about. Professors used to dread going to that class. Very troublesome fellows. And we could see them from our MCom class. So I said, no, sir, no chance. Then he said, why? I don't have the guts to face them. Then he told me, a teacher is not a policeman. The exact words I'm using. He's not a policeman. You can teach a class provided you're good in the subject. Your knowledge of the subject must not be questionable. And more important, you should be able to explain things to the weakest of students in a manner that he can understand. Believe me, that has been my guiding principle throughout my life. Even today, if you ask me to teach something which I'm not conversant, I will not go to class. If I go to class, I'm 100% sure about what I can deliver. Anyway, teaching was not in my interest at all. Fortunately or unfortunately, the moment I went home, I got a call from Loyola saying there is a vacancy in St. Joseph's, Bangalore. Not Bangalore, Trichy. If you are interested, go. And since it was my very close friend who, Professor who rang me up, I said, okay, I'll go. I went there. I was quite happy there. See, Trichy is that's a very good place to start teaching. Alston was one of my students then. Most of the students in Trichy are from the rural areas. So when you find somebody well dressed and smart, they think I've come all the way from UK. And I had another great advantage in that being from Kerala and having been in Tamil Nadu for nearly 5 years, I could speak Tamil. I could even understand Tamil. And when I talk to these students, no, they really are thrilled. Anyway, 1 year I taught there. And then the second year, I went to Bangalore St. Joseph's. Bangalore was a place where I really liked because I had a lot of my friends working there. So weekends after my class, I used to go and spend with them. And I had more or less decided this is the place I will continue. As a big bomb, I got a call from Loyola during my vacation. There's a vacancy in Loyola, why don't you come? I told my parents I'm not going to Loyola because I can't manage that crowd. Anyway, I didn't go for the interview. Then Father Kuriakos, he called me over the phone and said, I'm coming to Bangalore. Why don't you come and meet me? I went to Bangalore fully determined to refuse the offer. The moment he saw me, he told me, when are you joining? I got a shock of my life. I told him, Father, St. Joseph's will not leave me. Bangalore will not leave me. He said, that is not your problem. He immediately took the phone, rang up the principal of St. Joseph's Bangalore, and told him, I'm taking this man to Chennai. That is how I landed in Chennai. 1971 to 2005. I was teaching in Chennai, in Loyola. And the last 4 years, as Masi said, I retired as the head of the department. After which, I took over as the person in charge of the self-financing programs. But during these years in Loyola, I used to also teach at the Evening College of Loyola. Anyway, I worked there for about 5 years, and I said, okay, enough of Loyola, I'll quit. That time I got a call from this our international programs, which Loyola conducts, and they wanted somebody to teach accounts and finance. Quite reluctantly, I joined. But after joining there, I really enjoyed it. So much so now I don't want to leave that program. 49 years are over with this academic year in Loyola. One more year makes it 50. But unfortunately, COVID spoiled all my hopes because I was not very conversant with technology. And I said, online classes are not my cup of tea. So I will quit. But the pressure from my colleagues, they said, no, you're not going to quit. You must complete 50 and quit. That's all you want to quit. So quite reluctantly, I'm still continuing. I hope this will be my last. That's enough. Because my wife is much against me teaching. She said, why do you want to teach? I said, I don't want to stay at home. When I go to teach, I feel quite comfortable and relaxed. So now I am teaching in the particular program conducted by LIAC, which is a collaborative program with the French University. 2 years of classes in Loyola, 1 year in France. It has been a very thrilling life for me. More about it we'll see later. So that is how. In between, I was appointed as the first lay warden in the hostel. First warden who was not a priest was me. There also I served. I started a cooperative society for the students, and that was a big success. I don't know, Basir may be remembering it. Later on, I don't know what happened. I think they closed it down. Anyway, that is my story. I've got one daughter. She's married, two granddaughters.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Carlton, sir.
Professor. And
Pardon? Alston. Yeah.
Okay. To those who do not know me quite well, I'm Alston Rozario. I come from a southern city of Tamil Nadu, namely Madurai. I studied in St. Bede's, Madras, and then went over to St. Joseph's College, Trichy. And that is where the Jesuit influence had overtaken me. A lot of Jesuit priests you find were very kind, very gracious, accepted me in St. Joseph's College, gave me a lot of concessions, and that is how I grew up in stature. I remember in the PUC, I was standing in front of a group photograph, and then the fathers came there for the photograph, and Father Coyle, the music bandmaster, he came up to me and told me, "You're going to be a teacher." I didn't take it very seriously. I thought maybe it's a casual remark. And now when I reflect back, I find and I feel that his words have come true. And from St. Joseph's College, you find as a hockey player and the captain of the hockey team in St. Joseph's, that gave me a leverage into Loyola College. And a number of Jesuits you find had influenced me. Father Malaikal, Father J.M. James, Father George Tottungal, Father C.K. Sami, Father Louis Xavier. I remember how Father Louis Xavier took up the phone and he phoned up the principal of Loyola College and told him, you must give him an MCOM seat. And with that assurance, I came to Madras, met Father Kuriakos, and there I did my MCOM. And I must tell you, I was very young when I became a teacher. As soon as I finished my exam in the month of May, I remember the very next month I was appointed as a lecturer, a very young person, more or less looking like a student. When I went to get my appointment letter from Father Kuriakos told me, you better wear your tie. People may not know who you are. They may not know that you're a teacher. And when I was confirmed, Father Kuriakos called and told me, so I'm making you permanent. Hereafter, you don't prepare for classes. You take as much leave as you want. And I told him no, because I have certain values, and the values that I have today are all Jesuit values. And most of them you find had tremendous influence over me, consciously or unconsciously. And today you find, and when I started my career, especially in administration, I was a very tough person. I would shout and bawl at students, make sure they follow the rules, they fall in line. But now you find after a period of time, you find I have mellowed down. And then maybe subjects were teaching were different. And today you find gone into management, gone into HR. And therefore now you find things are different. Now I'm very accommodative, I'm very reasonable, I'm very tolerant, very understanding. Sometimes boys used to come and tell me, so you look like a tough guy, but actually inside you're a very soft person. It's true. Whenever boys come and meet me in my room, I'm totally different. And I'm also very kind and considerate to the marginalized students. And that is how these students you find have an affection towards me. I laugh with them, I talk to them, I joke with them. One end, I may be strict. On the other end, you find I laugh, I smile. I'm humorous in the class. I always like to make my class as interesting as possible. I always follow the maxim of Dr. Amarchand of Madras University. He used to say, whenever you're teaching, you always illustrate your point. Give an example, because that is what many students will remember. They may not remember the subject that you teach, but the way you explain the concepts in very practical terms, giving practical situations, and then applying the concepts and trying to tell people, okay, this is the way it's been done, this is the way it has been managed. And this is where you find the students are very, very affectionate. But the students of today, you find, are totally different from students of yesterday. The students of yesterday, you find very grateful, recollect many incidents of the past, full of love, full of affection, full of respect as well. And these are things that I enjoyed as a teacher, isn't it? How students always give respect. And there are boys who find they run and come and to talk. And when they come to talk, I used to ask them, why are you coming and talking to me all the time? So, sir, you're the only one who will listen. My father doesn't listen to me. My mother does not listen to me. You're the only one who listens, and you are the only one who smiles at me. So these are all small incidents you find in the life of a student where they are very grateful, they are appreciative. And we also try our best to encourage them, to motivate them, etc. And that is how you find students are very receptive to the teachers. And as far as I'm concerned, I had a very good time in Loyola College for the last 4 decades. Even today, I find the boys are very grateful for whatever is being done in their lifetime. So these are all small incidents you find which is time memorial, where people start recollecting all small incidents. I've noticed whenever I talk to students today of yesterday, all small incidents in the class. This what happened, that what happened, this what you did, that's what you did, that's something else what you did, etc. These are things that really captivate the minds of students. And I really enjoy teaching. I have the stamina. I must say, I don't know because whether I was an hockey sportsman that I have a lot of stamina. I enjoy teaching even 5 hours or 5 hours in a day. People used to come and ask me, the HOD used to come and ask me, can you step in this class? The teacher is absent. I said, why not? And I would enter that class and I would talk. Likewise, we find for important function, Bertram Hall, they will always say, will you give the welcome speech? I say, yes. Will you give the water thanks? I would say yes. And that is how you find I began to get involved in public speaking. And I have the confidence you find to address a very big audience in Bertram Hall. At a one stage, you find I was very nervous. I was an introvert person, but you find things change. Loyola blossomed me. The entire potential that I have today is all because of the Loyola influence, no doubt about it. All the rectors, all the principals, all the wardens, all the Jesuit priests with whom I had very, very close, intimate relationship. You find I used to listen to them, get their advice. I remember when I took the post of the vice principal of Loyola College, I was a little bit scared. And the first person I met Father Jyoti in Liba. And I went there and said, this is what's happening and this is what's going to happen. So I asked him, I said, what advice you like to give me? And he told me, I'll give you 2 words. One, be firm and be flexible. Be firm and be flexible. Those 2 important words, magic words you find, made a lot of difference in my life, made a lot of difference in my career. Opportunities came. I used the opportunities and I use it to the maximum extent possible. And that is how I grew up in my career. I grew up my profession. And even today, I still teach on a part-time basis. I remember in the beginning of this year, they told me the circulation that went on, they said they're going to be online classes. And then they asked me, look here, we're going to give you some few hours. Will you manage? Very reluctantly, I said, okay, fine, because I was not very conversant with the technologies of today. And they said, no, you must do it, etc. And the first equipment I bought was an iPad. So I went very proudly, went to Chroma, Nungamak, and bought an iPad. And then I began to learn how to use the iPad. I brought in a lot of people to help me to use the iPad, especially from college and outside college. And then they told me, look here, this iPad will not help you to take attendance because in Loyola College, you have to go through a Google Classroom, etc. You better buy a laptop. I was very reluctant. I already had bought an iPad. Now the question is, should I buy a laptop as well? And then you find I went to the college. They gave me a laptop. I took a few classes. Then I decided, okay, I'm going to get a laptop on my own. And therefore, I bought the laptop. I'm studying. I'm taking class. I'm taking virtual classes. And I'm doing fairly well. Response is quite good. I'm some of the other you find cope me up with technology, even at this age of 69. I still have that confidence that I can succeed. I can do things well. I can organize things. I can make myself very effective. I can make my lecturing very interesting. And that is how you find classes are absorbing, because many students used to come and give me a feedback. This is what has happened. This is what we feel, etc. And I used to learn. And I was never scared of criticism, because boys used to sometimes come and talk to me. And when they talk to me, they used to give me a critical evaluation of what I am. And what I used to do is I used to correct, modify my behavior, change my attitude, change my approach, because I realized that what they were talking to me was very constructive, very useful. I always keep telling students today, Don't run away from criticism. Criticism will shape you. Criticism will make you strong, and you can have a good base in order to bounce into your career. I always motivate students. I still remember boys in third year used to come and talk to me, very insecure. And they used to tell me, sir, what I'm going to do, what job am I going to get? Can I apply for A job? Can I apply for B job? And can I apply for C job? Today, when I look back, I smile at these guys because many of them are business fellows, powerful business guys, doing very well in life. Some of them have taken to agency business. And I will keep wondering, these are the guys who came and asked me for options, for alternatives. And today you find they're on the top of the world. So Loyola boys will definitely shine. Foundation is good, faculty is good. And it is not a question of only Carlton and myself. Of course, I come under tremendous influence of Carlton because I always value his opinion, his advice. Very matured, very rational, very objective, down to earth. And that is how you find I got carried away by his influence. And sometimes whenever I face problem situation, I keep thinking how he advised me how to deal with situations in the hostel, how to deal with situations in the classroom, etc. And how you find today is an authority in accounting, a fallout of Professor Session. So Loyola has a legacy, it has a tradition, and a very good legacy that all of us should try to maintain. And I can see it with the way the alumni are behaving, the way they're establishing, the networks that they are trying to put in place, you find it's very clear that definitely if you have that brand, you will definitely succeed in life. And all of you are very successful. I'm very happy and proud to be in your midst. I'm very happy to see you after a very, very long time. And probably you might also see a different physical appearance of myself because my hair has undergone a lot of changes over the period of time. So these are the few words that I would like to convey to you on this very happy occasion, very joyful occasion. Mazila, you have done a very good job. Even the previous meet was a great thumping success. Even today you find, I'm very happy to see so many faces which were fading are now able to revive your facial impressions. I'm very, very happy and joyful on this happy occasion. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, both the professors, and what an amazing life we heard. Both the professors had an amazing life, and that has changed many of our lives, and we became successful because of you. At this time, I would like to introduce two fine people, one from California and the other from New York. Ranjani Mohana, she is the president of California chapter. In fact, it is called West Coast chapter. And Nandini is from New York. She is our board secretary. They will ask some questions which came through from your own students. And hopefully you can answer those questions. Ranjani and Nandini.
Thank you, Matthew. Professor Carlton, my question to you, I've asked it before, but I'm going to ask it because it comes from a student. The question is, what is the secret of your looking so young? The question is from Masiullah Mohammed from Chennai.
This is a question I get in every meet. I really don't know. I think God's grace, number one. Secondly, even though I grow old year by year, the students whom I meet are young. So I change my style of teaching, interaction to suit their needs. And I'm always in the company of youngsters. So that makes me also feel young. And as I told you, one of the important reasons why you grow old fast is stress and strain. In my teaching life, I never had any stress, be it from my colleagues in the department, the management, everyone was very supportive of me. So I had no problem in the work spot. As far as my home life is concerned, my wife used to take over all the stress in the house. So that I think is the reason why there is still hair on my head. Number one. I don't say it is totally black. I never did like that. But that is the reason why I am still looking young. That's what I believe. But of late, I think age is catching up. Age is catching up. And well, everyone has to. 75 years is a very long time. Yes, anything else?
The next question to Professor Carlton again is, what made you take up teaching accountancy? This question is from Gauri Shankar from USA.
Okay, you'll be surprised to know when I was a student, accountancy was a dreaded subject for me. I never understood debit or credit. I would blindly do problems, blindly, without understanding anything. Unfortunately, when I started teaching, whether it's in St. Joseph's Trichy or in St. Joseph's Bangalore, I was asked to teach accounting. I somehow or other managed. But when it came to Loyola, we had some big guys in the class who were doing CA and all that. And that was a fear for me. But I said, no, I have to learn it. So I took it as a challenge and I said, I will not teach unless I know why I teach it. It is not a question of doing a problem that anybody can do. But why should I do it? For everything, why should I debit? Why should I credit? Just because somebody said debit, somebody said credit. No, there should be a reason for it. So everything I do today, I first reason out. And unless I'm convinced about what I teach, I will not teach. I told you that earlier. Well, over the years, I had some more confidence in teaching accounting. But when I came to Loyola, I had stalwarts like Professor Session, Professor Robert, who all helped me out. After class, in the afternoons when my classes are over, I used to go to the library, sit there, and work out problems, take half a dozen books, see how it was worked out and why it is worked. So today, my success, I think, is because I know why things are done. Conceptually, I'm very, very clear. And I think, and I teach accounting without debit and credit, believe me or not. I teach accounting it's because accounting is nothing but common sense. That's how I look at it. I remember when I teach management programs in LIBA, you have executives who come for these programs. After the first class, they used to tell me, sir, we always thought accounting is very difficult. I said, accounting, who said it's difficult? No, but this one class which you took, you see, it's so easy because I teach accounting with a balance sheet in mind. You may not know anything in accounting, but if you understand the balance sheet, you understand accounting. Because everything what happens in the business is reflected in the balance sheet. And that is a success. And now it's a passion for me. I used to, and then I used to teach a lot of these CA students. So that added to my knowledge. So now then I gave up because of too much of work. Now recently, some old students of mine who come with the awards, children, sir, you must teach them CA. I said, I am not familiar with the latest developments. Anyway, since you have got the confidence I can do it, I sat, read up the latest, learned it, and then taught. So even today, you won't believe I spend about half an hour every day in reading the accounting material published by the CA Institute, their problems, their solutions. That gives me so much of pleasure. And now accounting has become a passion for me. Of late, even finance. Even though I never learned finance in college, it's all self-learned. It's all self-learned. I remember when I started teaching in Loyola, that was a time when we were introducing new subjects. And the question would be who would teach the subject? And it would fall on my lap because I was the youngest. All the senior professors had their pet subjects. All new subjects to be taught by me. And I used to dread it. Every new subject, I have not learned it in college. I have to learn. So I used to take books, prepare material, take different foreign books, take material from everywhere. And each of these subjects, I've got material. I taught Alston HR. Can you believe it? The only subject I never taught was statistics. And statistics was my favorite subject in college. And the only subject I never liked teaching is economics. Because I'm not convinced in economics. They always start by saying, other things remaining the same, this will happen. Other things never remain the same. So I was never convinced. So even though I was asked to teach, I taught for 1 month and then I told my HOD, sir, I'm not convinced about what I teach. So kindly change it. He was gracious enough to change it. Management instead. Economics I can never understand because all things start by saying other things remain the same. And other things, as far as I'm concerned, don't remain the same.
Professor, after listening to you, I feel I miss studying under you.
No, but I don't
The
know.
next question, Ranjani will ask the next question.
This is for Professor Alston. Professor, before I ask you the question, we are not able to see you well in the camera. So if you can, there you go. Now we can see you well. Thank you for that. So the question for you is, what's your view on post-COVID consumer behavior and habits? This is from a student from United Arab Emirates.
Well, changes are taking place. Environmental challenges are there. COVID also is a very big challenge. And people are scared. People are frightened even now. Even the public transport today in Chennai is not patronized by the public. And therefore, you find choices are automatically changing. People are no mood to spend money. Many of them have lost jobs. And they like to conserve their savings to fill up the gaps. And therefore, they are not able to get opportunities. Even students are not able to get opportunities. Exams have been postponed for the third years for quite some time. And a few days ago, we conducted the online test for the third years. It was an experience for the students, experience for the teachers. So you find we are getting used to it. We're getting used to wearing a mask. We're getting used on social distancing. And customers, you find, are even now, they're not willing to spend. But of course, many corporates are trying their best to induce people to spend. They are giving them a lot of fringe benefits. They're giving them a lot of perks. They're giving a lot of discounts. They're giving them a lot of freebies to motivate them to come into the shopping malls. But then you find Indians, are scared. They are frightened, no doubt about it. And this is a very dreadful disease. And we need to learn how to manage this disease. But of course, you find there are people you find who know the consequences of COVID, and there are people who don't know the consequences of COVID. And as far as they are concerned, you find nothing makes a difference in their lives, especially in the marketplace. You find them going about minding their business, taking on the risk of this disease. So this you find changes are taking place. Even students you find are getting used to online. This is new to them. And many students you find are buying cell phones to attend to virtual classes. So therefore, some changes, definitely changes are taking place. And we're trying our best to maneuver the challenges that we are facing in schools, in colleges, in fast-moving consumer goods industries, automobile cars, electrical vehicles. People are now pollution conscious. They don't mind the investment to take place, provided they can arrest pollution levels. They want pure air to breathe. Unfortunately, in Chennai, we have not come to the level of Delhi and Bombay. But it doesn't mean that it can evolve. And we have to be ready for the consequence that is bound to take place. So this is the reaction of you find the general public towards COVID in Chennai, how they are reacting, how they are managing.
Thank you, Professor. And my next question to you again is, how do you see accounting profession in general in the future? This is also from the
I'm not
same.
very familiar with accounting. I'm only familiar with all the management subjects. So maybe that question you should direct to Carlton. Maybe Carlton will be able to tell you what are the future trends of accounting. Carlton, answer that question.
Accounting can never end. You have to account for everything. So accounting has always got a future. Right? That answers your question.
My next question is to you, Professor Carlton. What was your proudest moment during your Loyola tenure? And this is asked by the same student from UAE, GS Cap.
Proudest moment. Is that your question?
Yes.
Proudest
Yes,
moment. See, for me, there is no bad student. Every student has got something good in him. He may be very troublesome, but there is something good in him. If you can tap that, fellow will eat out of your hands. I remember that one of my students was very troublesome, and all the professors had written him off as a bad dick. Now, I called him one day and I had a long chat with him. Then I realized he had a lot of family problems behind him. Anyway, so one day when I was teaching something, I worked out the solution. Then he told me, "Sir, why can't we do it like this?" I said, "Well, what is special about your way? It's an easier way of doing it." I said, "Are you sure?" Then he said, "Yeah, I got the answer." I said, "Fine, it may be a coincidence. I'll give you a few more problems, work it out your way. And if you're getting the answer, we can think about it." He got it. And his method was much easier. Immediately I told the class, "Clap. Here is a boy who came out with something unique." And from that day, I told him, anytime I teach this topic, I will use your name as the one who taught me this. He was so thrilled, you won't believe when he went to France, he topped. He topped the class. I think that was a spur for him to change. He got recognition in the class, and that really boosted up his career. Now he's doing very well in some top company. So I always believe there is always something good in a student. The only thing is we have to tap that. Don't talk about his weaknesses. Talk about his strength. And once he gets your confidence, he'll eat out of your hands. And that's the proudest moment I had when I found this boy has changed. He's not the only one. There have been quite a number of like that. But this particular boy who was written off by others as a troublesome fellow finally made a tremendous change.
Amazing, Professor. The next question is from Shankar from USA. Post BCom, what are the career options in today's era?
Oh, BCom there, so you're sitting in front of people who are all made it big in life. What more you want? Here, all the career options are here. So much. See, the days when we passed out, if you finished a BCom degree, it was good. And MCom is the height of study. Today, nobody bothers about your MCom or your BCom. What you can do after that. I know students who are in BCom in Loyola, you ask them to do some work, they will not. Lazy fellows. But when they go to LIBA, they will burn the midnight oil and prepare assignments, etc., sitting 11, 12 o'clock in the night. Why? The moment they finish their program, placements are assured. Today, it is not what you do in college which is important. It is what you do after that. That is what industry looks for. Right? So that is something which is different from what is happening earlier.
But that is the foundation that you are giving us for us to move forward. So that is important.
Yeah, true. We do give you a foundation, but as somebody said, the basement is very important, right? It's a foundation we give, but ultimately it is your hard work and your perseverance and your passion to achieve something which has brought you right up to the top, right? If we can, if our role is such important, then I think every student who passed through us should have been top people in life. Some of them make use of the opportunity. Some of them, well, they don't use it. We can provide them the spark, as I said. They build upon it and come up in life. But we are very happy when we find many of our students do well. We have regular reunions of old students now in Loyola, commerce batches. I've been so happy to see many of them whom I taught are now holding top positions in companies, top positions. And that's one thing about Loyola. Wherever we go, we have somebody there who knows us. And things move fast if there is somebody in that organization. It has happened to me on a number of occasions. When I retired, to get the pension papers cleared, it's a big ordeal. The clerk in the office said, "Sir, you go there, they will make you come half a dozen times." I was prepared for it, no option. You have to get your pension. I went there, I just got into the building. One fellow, I was just watching now where to go, what to do. One fellow came and met me. "Sir, you are from Loyola." I said, "Yes." "What brought you here?" I said, "Pension papers have to be processed and cleared." "Sir, you please sit down here. I work in the same office, the same department. You please wait here. I'll come." Within 20 minutes, he came back and said, "Everything is cleared, sir. Here are your papers. Go." I came to the office, to our college office, and told the clerk, "They are all doing it." "How did you manage it?" I said, "I didn't manage it. Loyola managed it." True. See, today, if what I am today, I owe it to Loyola. I owe it to Loyola, no doubt about it. Because the moment you say you are a Loyola person, the gates open. Even an ordinary constable on the road, if he catches you, I've had an experience. In front of me, many people were caught. So when he came to me, he asked me, "Again, sir, வரீங்க?" I said, "I'm from Loyola College." "என்ன பண்றீங்க?" "Professor." "அப்படியா? போங்க சார், போங்க சார்." That is the respect you get. From the lowest to the highest. Wherever you go, you get it. And that I owe it to Loyola. I don't think if I was teaching in any other college, I would have got that respect in life.
Thank you, Professor. Professor Alston, I have a question for you. Do you think you have achieved your mission in life by being a professor? This is from a student, Arul Mori from India.
Yeah, it's very true. Very, very true. I've enjoyed my career. I love teaching. As I said earlier, there were times when I was asked to teach 4 hours on the run. I did it. And there are occasions when they were asked to teach me, asked me to teach for 5 hours. I have done it. I really love teaching. And it came out of an instinct, intrinsic instinct, to have this flavor for teaching. No doubt my mother was a teacher, and maybe that influence is there on me. But I mastered the art of teaching. Every class was a learning for me, and learning to master the art of teaching. And whenever I used to teach, I used to put my full body will go into teaching. I mean, very rarely I see this kind of situation. My body language was very strong, very powerful. I would move my left hand. I would move my right hand. I will go around. I'll go from one aisle to another aisle in the class. I was very, very mobile, very energetic. And I was physically very, very strong when it comes to teaching. And boys could make out that I'm putting all my effort into it. And that is what they admire, isn't it? So they want someone who puts in all effort into teaching. And I always call it action-oriented teaching. Because there are teachers who put a lot of action when they teach, and I'm one who puts a lot of action. Because when I was young and studying in Loyola College in MCOM class, I used to pass the physics department. I used to see Father Professor Joseph teaching physics. He used to jump from one part of the classroom to another part of the classroom teaching physics. And then he will emerge on top of the desk and then under the table. and boys will get up to find out what went wrong with the teacher. So these things you find, I noticed it, and then automatically, unconsciously, it has come into me, and therefore this is part of my character, and this is part of my ingredient in teaching. I enjoy teaching, but I don't know whether students enjoy listening. That's a different issue altogether.
Of course they did.
And you were quite stylish at that, Alston, those days. I'm talking about 80 to 83. Very stylish teacher.
Yeah, I have something about Professor Alston. As a student, we always looked up to him, very smartly turned out. But what I noticed with Professor Alston was he looked very prepared when he came to class. Okay, I think he had his notes, everything prepared. And when he came to class, he was totally prepared to take it, and he structured the class well. And this is something which today when I make presentations, I still remember the way Professor Alston used to be. And he always had his chin up. He always had his chin up. I mean, he always had that sense of confidence in him. I really appreciate Professor. In fact, I owe it to you for starting my career with a lot of confidence. I remember, I don't know about other students, other classes, but his last class in the final year, he told all the students, please write a few words about me. Okay. And all of us, wrote. Some were humorous, some were seriously writing things, everything. And we all wrote it. And then he said, I'll keep it. I'll go through it. Now I will give for a few students, let me tell what it is. And I was busy looking down somewhere. Somebody said, Maria, he's talking about you. I said, what? Then he told, here is one guy whom I've seen his performance was pretty bad in the beginning, but he has improved himself up and looks like he's a hard worker who would go ahead in life. And that one word gave me a lot of confidence. Within a few months, I was landed up in Delhi and I was working since September 83. Within a few months, I know I started my career very soon there. But Loyola gives me that kind of confidence that even today, if anybody has to say which institution you come from, I always say Loyola. I mean, that's. But in Delhi, probably when I started 20 years, people never knew much of Loyola, but I always used to say President Venkatraman is from there. No, there were eminent people coming from Loyola, and yes. But thank you, Professor, for giving me that confidence.
Thank you, Vijay. We are following a format of the meeting, so you will have an opportunity. Everybody will have an opportunity. And now, Nandini and Ranjani, do you have any more questions from the students?
We do have. I have one more question for Professor Alston again. How has teaching changed over several generations that you have been teaching since 1970s?
Teaching methods have changed, and I used to make use of group discussions. Then I used to give a case study in the class, and then I used to ask students to make PowerPoint presentations. And I must tell you, these boys have a lot of talent. How beautifully they make presentations. And when these boys go to LIBA, they excel so well, and they themselves are surprised that Loyola boys are so good in making PowerPoint presentations. So therefore, the techniques are all changing, and now you find e-learning has come into the picture. E-journals are available. We have a digital library in the college where we are motivating our boys to go there and sit in front of the systems you find and browse and search for inputs. And nowadays you find social media is available, laptops are available, and nowadays you find students are slowly bringing laptops into the class. Not a whole lot of them, but some of them, and that is good. A change for the better that they are bringing laptops to class. Because I remember you find in the Management Institute in the Pantin Road in Chennai, for a management program, you find they were given free laptops as part of the course. They were charged for the laptop. It was part of the tuition fees, and every student was given a laptop. Likewise, also, I think Loyola College is coming to a situation where we have to think seriously of how these boys can be provided laptops, especially the boys who are marginalized, the boys who are not so well off in life, whether some device, some program, some scheme can be evolved, whether these boys could buy laptops on some credit basis. And therefore, you find Loyola is catching up with the outside world. And we have brought a lot of changes in the college. College itself has undergone a lot of physical changes. Curriculum has undergone a lot of changes. Teaching methodology has undergone a lot of changes. Father Thomas wants us to change our methods of teaching, go more for e-learning, e-notes, etc. And some of us are coping up with it, and we are coping up wonderfully well. And we hope we will be able to click sometime in the future. Teaching technology has changed, and we are coping up with teaching technology. Training programs are conducted with the teachers. I must tell you that. Periodically, we have training programs.
Our Vice Chair, Andrew, to have some rapid questions. Andrew, please, the floor is on yours.
Thank you, Matthew, and thank you, Professor Carlton, Professor Alston, to join us today. I'm Shantha Andrews. I'm from the 88-91 math batch. I think I did a course under you, Professor Carlton, on accountancy, but I'm not very sure. But anyway, sir, I think we are kind of getting to a different kind of a scenario where we want some real spontaneous short answers and things like that. That's why it's a rapid fire round. So let me start with Professor Carlton. And these questions have been coming from a lot of your students, sir. So one of the things that was asked about is, do you have any unfulfilled desires that you want to talk about?
No, absolutely not. As far as teaching is concerned, not. Quite contented. Not only in teaching, even in my family life, I'm quite contented. My daughter is married, 2 grandchildren. Only thing is, my wife and I am not together now. Don't get me wrong. She had gone to my wife's daughter's place just before the lockdown.
Oh,
and she's back there. And I'm there, and she's there, and I'm here. So, but distance makes the heart grow fonder, no? Even at this age, I think we talk to each other every day, and the only problem is when somebody has to bring her, because he's having a problem with her knee, so somebody has to accompany her, and because of this quarantine in Chennai, they were scared. But now I heard there is no quarantine. Because the one who brings her has to quarantine again. My daughter wanted to bring her. I think now it should be a problem. So maybe first week of November she should be here.
Thank you, Professor. Professor Alston, now for you. So we wanted to know if you have any 3 very succinct motivation factors which drives you to teach.
What motivation?
3. People want to know 1, 2, and 3. First 3 motivating factors that you have that motivates you to teach your students for so long.
Yeah, I find students are very receptive. They are very knowledgeable. They are intelligent. They support you a lot. They give you suggestions to be a powerful teacher. And therefore, this is what motivates me to be committed to a profession. I always tell the students, if I'm born again, I will be a teacher. Because when I was talking to some students in Hyderabad, Loyola students, they work in a BPO, and I asked them, how long are you going to work in this BPO? And they said, no, sir, we have fallen in love with it. There is no way by which I can leave this and find some other profession. I still remember the words of Naramurthy. He says, love your job, but don't fall in love with your company, because you will not know when your company will stop loving you. So you find you have to be committed to your profession, isn't it? A profession which is so enjoyable. Every year you find a great unique thing that I always find. I see new face in the class. I don't think in any profession you come across such new faces in your surroundings, isn't it? And every year you find a new experience. The batches are different. One batch is attentive, another batch is more relaxed, one batch is playful, another batch is more worried about culturals. A few days ago, I was taking class in the virtual class, and some boys were asking me questions. And they asked me, "Sir, when will we come back to the college for regular class?" I said, "What's the problem?" So, "No, sir, we're missing the culturals." So you find some batches, you find some boys like to socialize. They like social life in the college. They hear quite a lot. We have a Viscom department. Likewise, you find there's co-ed here and there in isolated departments. And therefore, they're more in terms of socializing, enjoying life, and of course, enjoying the career as well. So Loyola is becoming very, very cosmopolitan. The entire environment is totally different.
Interesting, Professor. Thank
They're
you,
able to move with each other. They're able to work with each other, boys and girls. It wasn't like this before.
That's
Before
right.
you find everybody looking at them very suspiciously. Boys also were maintaining social distancing. But now you find they're able to socialize, they integrate, they unite, they organize. And things are very comfortable today in the college. There's no tension.
Oh, that's nice.
Absolutely no tension.
Thank you, Professor. Professor Carlton, now a question for you. You said you're completing 50 years. That's amazing, and hats off for that. But the question now is, if you did not become a professor, what would have been your other option? If you did not become a professor?
Obviously, I would have taken a job somewhere. Whatever job came to me, I would have started with that, and then maybe moved on to something bigger, and maybe like one of you people sitting in front of my professor when an alumni meet is conducted. I would have been somewhere in the top, like one of you people, and listening to my professors who spoke to me. No particular preference, actually. I would like to share a very interesting incident in my life, very embarrassing moment. I'll cut it short very fast. See, I was asked to go and teach Good Shepherd Convent girls. When I was in Loyola, their teacher went on maternity leave just before the exam. So our principal from Loyola called me and said, "See, the nuns are desperate to get a teacher to teach accounting. Why don't you come? Why don't you go?" So Alston and I were uh, Alston to teach commerce and me to teach accounting. I went there. That was my first experience teaching girls, and I was feeling very nervous to go to class because these school girls, they giggle and all that, and I thought they were giggling at me. Anyway, whatever it is, when I went there, I told them one thing: I've come to teach you accounting. Don't take down anything unless you're convinced about what you teach. In school, you have the habit of mugging up an answer. So I was explaining something. So a particular entry came up. Commerce students remember this. Prepaid insurance. What's the journal entry for it? I said prepaid insurance to insurance. Sir, no. You please explain it to me using the rule of journalizing. Because I told them every journal entry is based on the three golden rules. So you please explain it to me. I tried all sorts of tricks, but it didn't work. Finally, I admitted, I don't know, but tomorrow I'll tell you. So it was a big shock for me. A young girl in school, high school, questioning me. Not that I'm an authority on subject, but a simple question. I went home in the night. I could not sleep thinking about the answer. Next day, I went to college. I asked my professors, could anybody tell me how to explain this in terms of journal entry? Nobody gave me an answer. Evening, I had to go back to teach. Driving down Stirling Road, I was still wondering now, how will I face this girl? What will I tell her? I only prayed that she may not come to class. Fortunately, she was sitting right in front of me. Then something struck me. Then I got the confidence. Okay, fine. Then I told her, Madam, don't you want to ask me that question? Because I was confident now. He said, yes, sir. But then why didn't you ask me? I thought you may not like it. So no, no, ask, ask. Then I told her, I don't know how many of you can answer my question. The reason is the journal entry is passed, the debit and credit entry is passed when you pass the original entry. When you pass insurance, insurance to cash, insurance expense to cash. That will follow your journal entry. But later on, when you are adjusting the entry, it won't appear. Or take a rectification entry. You're passing a rectification entry, a debit and a credit. Explain it in terms of debit and credit rules, it won't work. So only the original entry will work based on debit and credit. That was a learning experience for me. Even today, I've asked quite a few of my students, chartered accountant students, they were not able to explain. So that was very embarrassing, but it was a learning experience. And I think I owe it to that girl. What and very interesting thing was in Liba, when I was in Liba, most of the chief guests who were appointed for various functions happened to be my students. So when father introduces me to them, the moment they see me, he says, sir, you are here. You are my teacher. So it was a standing joke in college, in the Liba, that, oh, this man, anybody coming to Liba for any function will be a student. A particular seminar was conducted for marketing, and all the speakers who spoke were none of my students. So I was telling my colleague, at last one seminar where none of the speakers are whom I taught. Final speaker was a lady, and she spoke. And after she spoke, father introduced us to her. The moment she saw me, she said, "Sir, you taught me." I said, "Where did I teach you?" "You taught me in Good Shepherd. I was the girl who asked you that question."
Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
So I can never forget it.
Oh, God. You actually answered one of my follow-up questions I had, sir, like the one that you treasured most of your teaching days. So thanks a lot. Thanks for your experience. And I just want to shift focus to Professor Alston, and there was another question that came up the way was, what is your least favorite thing about being a professor, Professor Alston? Least favorite thing.
This is the block and tackle, is it?
It
It's a
comes from your students. It's
block and
yeah.
tackle game. I get irritated when students talk in the class.
Mhm.
I want everybody to listen to me. And then you find things go out of control, then you find I blast. So this is, it embarrassed me quite a lot. And when I come out of the class, when I start reflecting, I feel bad about it. I should not have reacted. I overreacted, etc. So these are things that you find demoralize you as a teacher, especially when you're working hard, you're delivering a message, delivering a content, and then you find people are disinterested, then that irritates you quite a lot. I simply blow off, you find, when this happens. Not often, once in a blue moon.
Interesting, sir. Interesting,
Can
sir.
I can I add a point here? Exactly what Professor Carlton does for the same occasion.
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was in the 95-98 batch, Professor Carlton. He was like a god to me even today. I haven't met him for so many years, but I hope even if he remembers, I would be really grateful. He taught me on his dining table. But I just want to give one small comment here. What Professor Carlton used to do for our classes, he used to start with the class saying, I don't want people to sit in the class only for the purpose of attendance. If you want to just take the attendance, you can put your roll number here and simply leave the class. I can give you the attendance end of the class. So he used to say, and the irony is, not even a single student leaves the class by marking his number. Everybody will attend his class, and that's the kind of respect we all shared to Professor Carlton. Sir, I'm really wanted to share this with you. I remember this. I hope you remember me as well, Harishyam, your chartered accountant student. Uh, yeah, I just wanted to share this.
Can't see you, Hari. I can't see only your name is there.
Yeah. Harisham, we can't see.
Honestly, I'm
Yeah.
very scared. Even today, after 20 years, I'm really scared, sir, to see you or face you. I haven't. That's the kind level of respect I have in my throughout my 20 years of my life, and I'm nervous now. Even now to speak to you, sir.
Thank you so much. And at this time, we would like to open up for more students or viewers wanted to ask questions. If anybody wants to introduce themselves, and, it has to be brief. It has to be less than, I could say, 50 seconds. In that
All
way,
right,
you
here's
can
my 15
say a
seconds.
few
Here's my
words
15
about you, and if you have any questions, you can ask the professors.
Matthew,
Okay, let me go first.
Karthik Narayan Swami, he has a question. Karthik, you want to go ahead?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sir, Rozario, sir. Sir, are you still taking classes without books?
Who are you talking to? Me?
No, Rozario, sir. Where is
You raise your voice. You're not audible. You're not audible.
No.
Raise your voice.
Yeah. In front of you, I can't
Yeah.
raise my voice, sir.
Yeah, raise your voice. I can't hear you.
Sir, are you still taking classes now without books?
Pardon?
His question
Are
is,
you
are you still taking classes without a book?
Yes, I do go to class without a book.
How is it possible for you, sir?
No, as I said, I work very hard. I read a lot. I read a lot. And I read not one book. I read a number of books. And my reading increases each year. And therefore, I know the subject thoroughly well. I'm able to start the subject from any angle, from any direction. I present the subject in a very novel way, in a very simple way. I narrate it, I link it with the environment. And students like that kind of approach, isn't it? When you're explaining concepts, you find you're linking with the environment. And from the environment, I'll go on to the topic and on to the subject. I will not go straight away to the subject. No. I try to orient myself. I try to have a warming up kind of a session in the first 5-10 minutes. Even the boys also need a little bit of warming up. So talk about general things you find and then come on to the subject and then illustrate my point. And one thing, whenever I teach, I always give illustrations. I give examples. I give how applications are done, etc. And that is what boys like. So totally you find out of the textbook. I never, of course, no doubt I have the basic idea of the subject from the textbook. But other than that, I innovate myself. I give my own contraptions, you find. I interpret in a different way altogether. And then you find that makes students little excited to listen. And that is why I sustain their interest.
Thank you, Professor. Is anyone else have a question? Someone else?
Yes, I do. My name is Suri. I'm the batch of 1981-84 BCom. We were a batch, Mr. Rozario, who pretty much got written off by Father Kuriakose as no-gooders. Most of the professors at the time, Arokya Das, Roberts, etc., had kind of considered us a bunch of no-gooders completely. The one person who had faith in us was you. You may not remember us, but we were a batch of 1981-84. And we would, as you're speaking now, we used to talk a hell of a lot in class. But not once did you actually throw a tantrum or throw us out of class or raise your voice. The extraordinary patience that you showed has, and I'm in touch with all my classmates now, even today when we talk about it, we wonder, what is it that made you have faith and belief in a bunch of complete rowdyism when everybody else and all the other professors had kind of pretty much written us off? It's amazing. That's an answer which we still haven't really got our arms around. So any light in terms of your personal philosophy in handling difficult, students or a batch of students. We'd really be intrigued to hear.
No, the greatest asset that I had is my language. And my communication skills. I would experiment different ways of communicating to students, explain different ways of looking at the concepts. And I had also a good accent. Many people used to admire my accent. And that is how they got captivated. I remember in my first class, which I entered the college in the main building, I sat in the library, read books, 4, 5, 6, 7 books, and preparing a subject like advanced currency, advanced banking. And when I went to the class to deliver, you won't believe, it was all over in 10 minutes time. In 10 minutes, I finished my talk. All that 5, 6 hours of preparation had gone in 10 minutes. And I never knew what to do. So you find I just told them, okay, keep quiet. And one guy came and told me, were you a debater in the college? I said, no, I was not a debater. No, you got good pronunciation, you got good language, you got good dictum. So sometimes you find students like teachers who are good in communication and talking very fluently, isn't it? And that is how they get carried away. So one great advantage I had is my language, my fluency, my vocabulary was good. I had a tremendous memory. I could relate one book with another book, etc. Sometime back, you find a student came and told me, sir, my son is in your class. I said, fine, that's good. He says, the way he's talking about you looks as though you're teaching as you taught us before, so many years ago in class. So it is your style has not deteriorated. So this is what students want. Students want presentation. They want style. They want knowledge of the subject, thoroughness of the subject, and able to answer questions. So if you're able to answer questions, you find surely students have admiration for you, for your knowledge. And the initial years, I remember I was teaching Indian economy. I was rattling with data on the Indian economy. And every day I used to read the newspaper before I go to class. And boys were mesmerized. How come you are able to narrate so much of data on the economy? It's just a question of application, preparing, and making sure that you're delivering the goods. And that is appreciated by the student. And that's what exactly happened.
Thank you, Professor. Does anyone else have a question?
I have a question. This is Karthikeyan here. I have a question.
Go ahead, Karthik.
Yeah, actually not a question. Just want to say a few words to Professor Carlton and Professor Rozario. So I'm Karthikeyan from the 97-2000 batch of BCom Evening College, Loyola. So my first few words are to Professor Carlton. Sir, you taught us accounting. Like we had special classes in the first year, in beginning of 98 and the beginning of 99. So for the first year, it was financial accounting, and for the second year, it was for corporate accounting. So what I actually remember about these classes is initially there were very few students who came for the special class. Later on, there were about 75 students, or 80 or 90 students, and we were not able to do it. There was not enough space in the classroom for the students to sit. So some people used to sit at the edge of the benches to keep their accounting books on the laps and take notes. So that was, that was a popularity of Professor Carlton for accounting. And as he even mentioned a few minutes back, I still remember this from the special class 23 years ago. He always used to say, accounting is pure common sense. He used to ask a question. So 10, 20 different boys would give 20 different answers. They'll say, all the answers are wrong. You guys need to understand the concept in accounting. That is very important. You don't have to do 100 illustrations or 100 problems from your textbook. You just understand the concept and go to the exam. You'll clear the exam with good marks. Because for me, accounting is pure common sense. And these were his exact words. And I'm very happy that he said that even today, 23 years later. So, I mean, that was one thing which actually drove us. And we were able to understand the concepts in accounting. It was mainly because of Professor Carlton. So thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your teaching. I'm sure we all secured good marks in our exams in accounting only because of your teaching. I'm very sure of that.
That reminds me, 1 minute. That
Thank you, sir.
reminds me, I was asked to take classes for the Madras University correspondence courses. That was something which I never liked because people come for correspondence course not to merely study, just to socialize. So I was asked to teach management accounting. So 2-3 professors teaching the class. So when I went to my class, there were hardly about 10 students. Other classes were all packed, management accounting. I said, fine, the lesser the number, the better for me. You won't believe the next day, my class was packed and other classes were practically empty. People are sitting on the windowsills and listening to me. The word went around, I think, here is somebody who can deliver. And that's exactly what he said. Now, first class, maybe not many students, but as the word goes around, people will come.
Yes, yes.
That's it.
So thank you, sir. Thank you very much for all your the knowledge you imparted to us. So my second few words are to Professor Alston Rozario. So we remember him as a very strict person, actually. So what normally used to happen was this 98 and 99, we used to have this Carlton sir special class just before the evening. I was in evening college, so it was from 4 to 7. So we used to have those classes, the special class, accounting special classes, just before the evening college started. It was from, I think, 3 to 3:45 or 3:50. So it was from 3 to 4 o'clock, but Professor Carlton used to leave us 5-10 minutes early so that we could go to our classes and attend the prayer and sit for the classes. So what we used to do is after the classes are over, okay, now the classes are over. Now we just decide to go for a movie. It used to happen frequently after the classes. So what happens is it used to happen on the first floor of the college. So we have to decide on the movie immediately after the class. So we had just 5 or 10 minutes. If the bell rings, the first bell goes, you will always find Professor Alston Rozario in front of the main staircase, trying to catch students who are cutting classes and were walking away from the main building towards the parking lot. So we used to decide very quickly which movie to go. Obviously, it used to be Satyam Theatre. A few of my friends had bikes. So we literally, in a couple of minutes, we used to rush, dash across the grand staircase and rush to the parking lot. Because once you go to the parking lot, it's beyond the horizon. I mean, nobody would catch you there at that point of time. So we used to go there, then decide, then take the bikes and you clear the college campus. Once you were into Sterling Road, then you're free, actually. You're outside of the horizon. So that's what used to happen. And I always remember Professor Rozario standing at the front of the grand staircase, trying to stop students from cutting classes. So that's how I remember him. Of course, he took a class for my friends, for mainly, I think, business management and business law. So they used to tell us about the jokes he cracks in the classes. And it used to be very lively too. So these are the few words which I would like to say to Professor Carlton and to
Thank you. Thank you, Karthik. I have Paul Nathan. He has a question. Paul?
Yes, thank you. My question to Professor Alston Rozario. What I would like to say is, after all these years, we have come across many employment careers, but still, what would like to say or the advice that you would like to give to the Loyola alumni in such a way that we give back to the campus or give back to the society? What kind of one good advice that you would like to give to the Loyola alumni all over the world?
Some years ago, we had a colloquium where we brought in Loyola students who were industrialists running big companies, etc., thinking that they could come to the college, sit together with the faculty, and then start revamping the syllabus. The response was not too encouraging, I should say. As a teacher, the response was not too encouraging. few people came there, and even every year, whenever I get an opportunity, I keep telling them, why don't you come and tell us what we should do? How do we revamp the BCom curriculum? How to make it more useful, utility-wise, etc. And what are the inputs you can give? So now what do? What we do is whenever we have a board of studies meeting, the commerce department, we always make it a point to bring all our old students, at least 5 or 6 of them, sit there on the board and then contribute, especially in developing the curriculum for accountancy, for costing, for management, for auditing, because we tend to be a little bit outdated, no, as teachers. We have no relationship with the outside world. And many boys, they complain and say everything is very theoretical, so the concepts are very theoretical. These are things are not at all useful. They are not related at all to the actual environment. So there is a gap between what we are doing and what the industry is doing. And we are trying to bring in alumni and asking them, give our boys some talk, give them some motivation talk, give them some career guidance, etc. So that is the direction in which we are looking forward to the Alumni Association. We like you to come to our Board of Studies meeting, contribute, give ideas, point out our mistakes, what are the relevant concepts being practiced, how things are being done today in the industry. And thereby you find we can make the curriculum much more stronger. Definitely we do help. We want help from the alumni.
I came last year. I came last year. Masi was kind enough to take it to principal's room. I did guest lecturing for the graduate and postgraduate students. And in fact, during Professor Joe's time, I gave you a special curriculum for MBA. Now we are in a digital world where we can connect globally. I would urge Masi, if you could, like to have our input from different part of the world, from the industry's perspective, to bring forward. We are more than happy to connect and contribute, Masi. Thank you very much, Professor.
Thank you, Paul. Next person is Ranjit. You had a question?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
But I promised to keep it brief, but both professors, I was there 83 to 88, did my BCom and MCom. I'm sure you've heard a lot of people, all of the students today included, who keep talking about the influence you've had on them. I want you to know equally that in addition to the subjects that you taught, we really looked up to you in terms of your personal characteristics and traits. And the one thing I would like to point out about Professor Carlton is I was one who used to miss classes because of sports and occasionally would ask for an extra lenience because I had a match to play that evening, and you always kindly granted it to me. But it wasn't just a kindness born out of sympathy. It was a kindness born out of trust also, and a trust factor that I know you will make up for what you're missing in class. I know you will come to me if you have additional questions. And these are the kinds of things that I've really taken away in addition to all that you taught us. And by the way, I feel like I learned the least in terms of financial accounting from you, even though a lot of people associate you mostly with financial accounting. I loved your teaching of finance and business management, especially one particular class where you were co-teaching it with Professor Greeley. And Professor Rozario, I'm going to try and say this in a manner that comes out completely positively because it is intended to be positive. The thing, one trait that always stood out about you to me is you used your humor, which someone else alluded to earlier, to sometimes get under our skin to make us do better. I remember that very clearly. There was one class at the end of BCom, it's global trade. That was not the actual name of the class. And it ended up with a presentation at the end. And this was a time when presentations were not very common in class. And I remember you coming to me at the end of the presentation and saying, I thought you were hiding a little bit. You were not that confident. You really did not want to put yourself out there or something on those lines. And I remember, and one last incident on that note is, by my recollection, you were one professor who brought outside speakers into the classes. And I'm talking about the early 80s here. there was a GM of a bank, I think Indian Bank, who came into class. And at the end of the class, the GM, after his presentation, asked students to ask questions. Maybe a couple of students asked questions, and we were walking out after the class, and I said, so what did you think about the whole thing? And you said, this class was just not intellectually curious. I don't know what was wrong with the class today. So again, an example of trying to push us all the time to do better. So thank you for all of your efforts. And we remember those individual traits as much as your teachings.
Ranjit, thank you very much. I do also want to point out one thing about Ranjit, which came on the chat. He's the national table tennis player representing Junior India when he was studying in Loyola. Am I right, Ranjit? Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for that.
Ranjini, 1 second. Before you go to the next questions, we are already late, about 30 minutes. I just wanted to say a few words. I just wanted to give a vote of thanks because I don't want to miss that. After that, you can take your own time. You can ask as many questions you can. All depends upon our professors. I mean, it is getting late in India. I just wanted to thank both the professors to take the time and to talk with us, and also all the students and all the alumni who participated in this. And this is not possible unless the Loyola College is behind all the help they gave us. And also, I just wanted to thank Father Thomas and also Father Francis, and especially our international convener, Marcy. I have to thank him. I mean, I wake him up and sorry, Marcy, and I keep in touch with you all the time. I'm very sorry that I had to do this to get our alumni moving forward. I mean, and we are doing very good, and your presence is always helpful and thankful. Now, I would like to thank, there is a big team behind this. It's not 1 or 2 people. You have seen how many people. And Ranjini is the president of West Coast chapter. And Nandini, she's the board secretary. She was sending all the emails and creating the format for this program. And we have our vice chair, Mauli, and also second vice chair, Mr. Andrew. You have seen Andrew giving out rapid questions. So there is a big team behind this, and that is how we made this successful. And we have a next program coming up in November sometime. I think it is on 22nd with the chemistry professors. There are 2 professors coming up, and we would like you to join us at that time too. So this is growing. Actually, we had quite a number of alumni join this program, and I'm very thankful to all of you. And that ends my my part. And you can ask any questions you want it, and I'm not sure how far professors can stay on. As long as they can stay on, you can ask questions.
First of all, we have 2 more people who want to ask questions, if that is okay for the professors. Will that be all right?
It's okay for us. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. Grab it.
Thank you. I have Shankar. Shankar, it's your choice.
Yes, yeah, I'll be very brief. Thank you, everyone. Like I'm here, and if you can see the photo, I'm somewhere here, the top row, and I want to thank Professor Rozario and also Professor Young. My brief question is, I was really amazed at the examples that Professor Rozario used to pick, contract law, everything. He makes it a real life more to narrowing down to decision. I just want to know how we came up with the example. I still remember that 1 crore example. And he will give individual attention to every student, walks to every student and picks him, gives a pat in his shoulder and say, okay, answer this question. I just want to know how we're able to pack it in a very funny way. At the same time, we don't even have to refer the books, we remember. So that's my question. And I will also make my quick question to Professor Young too. I enjoyed the corporate accounting classes like anything. It was tough, it was difficult, I have to agree, but it was all very helpful. That example of bringing that ABC company or XYZ company with that one example, scaling it up, that was an amazing conceptualization. I want to know your seed thought behind that. Both of you could, if you answer this question, that's all. You granted my wish. Thank you.
Thank you, Shankar. The next person is Vijay. Michael?
Yeah, this is about Professor Alston. As you were saying, he read a lot of books out of the subject. He connected to the subject. He spent a lot of time preparing. But that also left an impact on some of us. For instance, when I was in college itself, preparing for the classes, I used to go through the Hindu paper, especially Wednesday paper that comes on management, take out cuttings, keep things on current affairs. I had this habit of actually cataloging a lot of stuff to prepare for his classes and his essay. And I used to intently listen to his classes and write down everything. And during internal tests, I used to come out and know whatever he taught. But at one point of time, he had commented on my paper, it's not enough that only you listen to my class. Please also go and read the book. This is what he had written once. But I found his classes were so interesting, especially on advanced currency, on advanced banking. And I had this habit of reading journals and everything right from that age onwards. So my habit of reading on subjects, I give it to Professor Alston. Hats off to you, sir. That's one good habit which I had taken on. Coming to Professor Carlton, I was in Section B in the 80-83 batch of BCom, and we never had an opportunity of you taking class for us. But from whatever we have heard, we also used to envy. We could have attended your accounting classes. And I know fully well, most of the A section guys have become chartered accountants, whereas we B section guys became a lot of businessmen only. Yes. Then I met Professor Carlton, I think in 2010 or sometime. So when I was just talking to him, he says, he told me, Vijay, Loyola was not what it was. As I asked him, I said, why sir? He says, you don't hear people talking in English in the campus anymore. And that was something like, yes, if we owe to the institution, there's one thing is our communication drastically improved after coming into Loyola. And our English, confidence in speaking English was for Loyola. And when he said that, there was a pang of pain, like, yes, there are a lot of people who are just talking in Tamil or probably even in Hindi in the campus, which is has to be noted. Yes.
Thank you, Vijay.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, Vijay. The next person I'm going to call is Alex. You are on mute. Alex, you are on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Professors, thank you so much for taking the time. It's so nice to see you both after many decades. I was a student in 1990. I graduated in 1999 from BCom. And almost 10 years after graduation, I did my MBA in Queen's University, Canada. And one thing that immediately struck me when I was in the MBA program is that I realized I thought of both of you, and I realized you were professors on par with international standards. Like, there was no surprise for me the way the Canadian professors took those classes. Both of you had given me a very similar experience back home in Loyola itself. The kind of examples that you used to share, sir, like Professor Rozario, the ones that you used to share for our marketing class, it just blew my mind. And similarly, I remember Professor Young, you used to teach us accounting, and you sometimes did not bring a book along with you. You will have the whole problem in your head, and you will recite it to us, and you will manipulate those numbers based on the example, like right on the fly, right? And it was just fantastic. One thing that I actually felt bad in the whole process was I did not realize the value of both of you while you were there. While I was a student there, I spent a lot of time in NCC and I did not attend the classes. So I also have a question. Apart from being thankful to you and grateful to both of you for the experiences and knowledge you shared, I was in Loyola last year. I met Professor Marcus, and he did introduce me, he did ask me to take classes to MCOM and BCOM students, and I did interact with them. And someone did share the fact that you did feel that sometimes we are not intellectually curious. And I do accept the fact that I think I might have been one of those students who was not intellectually curious when I was in BCom. And I felt the same when I was in those classes trying to share my experiences with the students there. Not much has changed, I guess, in the classes. So my question is, with all these years of experience, how do you deal with students? What do you think is the best way to deal with students who are not intellectually curious at that particular age, but they might regret it at a later point in time? So how do you do it, sir? Like, what do you think is the mantra over there?
See, as I told you, there are students who are very serious. There are students who are not very serious.
Yeah.
But then it all depends upon how you tackle them. Talk to them outside class. Give them the feeling that they can make it or they should make it. And they will change. Very few students are there. See, what happens now is our BBA program which we have. Most of the students who join are people who are very rich because it's a costly program. They are not motivated. The only thrill they have is to go to France. Third year, I can go to France. So 2 years in Loyola, they don't show much interest. But then we get students who come back from France and talk to them. And when they talk to them, they tell us, you don't realize the value of what you do in Loyola. If only you listen carefully to the subject which I teach, finance, because that's what they specialize in. If you listen to that, you will have an easy run in France. So it is very true. Most of the students have said, if only you listen to classes which is done in Loyola, France becomes very easy because professors there just come and lecture and go. We have still the habit of holding their hands and taking them along.
Yeah.
So that I think is one of the ways in which you can tackle them.
Fantastic. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And again, thanks for all the knowledge you shared with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Professor. The next person is Sunny. Joseph, I thought you had a question. Would you like to ask a question? Okay, I don't see him.
Hello.
Yes,
hello.
Sunny.
Hello, professors. I'm Sunny Joseph. I was there doing my MCOM in 1980-82. And I was there in the department also. I was fortunate to be colleagues teaching with Professor Carlton Young and Alston Rozario, of course, only for a very brief time. Then I got a job, a teaching job. I was also in teaching. Incidentally, I was also teaching accountancy, finance, and taxation. And very recently, I retired as a principal of a college in Kerala. I'm still continuing teaching in a self-financing college in Kerala. So I'm very happy that I'm once again able to meet my professors Carlton and Alston Rozario. Thank you very much. And I also am thankful to the organizers, particularly the chapter coordinators from the US, who has made this opportunity to meet the older professors. Thank you once again. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you, Sunny, for sharing that. Vasihar, you are next.
Yes, thank you. No, I just want to share that I was a lucky person. I was a student when both these gentlemen joined Loyola, when Professor Carlton and Professor Rozario. And so I was probably among the first batches when they taught in Loyola. And I'm not sure if anybody of my group is in this Zoom call today. And it's not easy to have people teaching for 49 years and 47 years. And this is something that we need to cherish. You know, mostly they will teach for maximum 20, 25, 30 years. But I don't know whether you realize that you have really achieved a milestone in teaching for so long. And we wish you all the best and good health to continue with this thing. And I'm very happy to be associated with both of you from the very beginning. Thank you.
Thank you, Wazir.
Thank you very much. And we are going to be here only for another 5 more minutes. And I'm going to call Sridhar Ramadas.
Yeah, good evening, Professor Carlton and Professor Rozario. I was your student in 1982 to 85 BCom batch. I still vividly recollect some concepts which you had very thoroughly drilled into us, like something like the LIC concept. I'm sure a lot of people out here would remember. Liabilities, income, always credit balance. And several such nuggets of pearls of wisdom, as you might say, which stood us in good stead in our careers and further studies as we went along. And we really cherished and loved those special accounting classes where you always used to encourage us to ask questions on each and every problem rather than simply mug it up as a debit or a credit. You were encouraging us to ask questions in such a way that we used to get the answers to the problems by asking questions ourselves. So these were certain very unique features of your class, which we still remember. And also, Professor Alston, it was really a great pleasure to attend your economics classes. We had a lot of good times, the way you taught, the humorous way of introducing concepts, as well as great attention to detail. We're thankful and grateful to you, and we should carry all these memories with us for the rest of our lives. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Sridhar.
The reasons why the reasons why I ask questions in classes is a learning experience for me, because I want to know how your mind works. And from yours, sometimes, as I told you, that boy who gave me an easy way of doing things. So I learned a lot. Today, if I am what I am, it is not the books alone which taught me. My students have taught me a lot. And even now, there are cases where I get easier ways of doing things from my students. And hats off to them. That is the secret of my success. Yes.
Thank you, Professor. Matthew, you want to?
I think we can conclude. Hopefully everybody asked questions. Everybody had a good time. It is getting late in India, and both the professors and looks tired, and definitely we have to wrap it up. If any more questions are not there, then we can wrap it up, please.
Thank you, thank you, Professor Carlton, and thank you, Dr. Rozario. I'm Sean from the South Chapter from Texas. We enjoyed your conversations, and God bless you all.
Thank you.
And did you have a question? Tyagarajan, did you have a question?
Well, I just want to say that it's a good time that a lot of our North American chapters students are there. It's normal there for students to institute chairs at the universities and colleges. It's the right time that we do that also in Loyola. And this is something which I mentioned to Marcy as well. And raising funds for chairs in honor of these two great gentlemen who has contributed to batches of students would be a right thing to do. Maybe all of us should work towards that and privately discuss. I mean, just want to leave the thought with you. And once again, thank Mr. Young, Mr. Rozario for great service which you have done for generations of students there. And thank you, organizers, for putting all these together. I'm sure we can all work together and make some lasting difference to the college and to these individuals who have contributed so much to us.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to say one word. Thank you, professors. Although I have not been a student of BCom, I'm a visual communication student. But I really think that I have missed something in life by not studying under you, because I always struggle with accountancy and commerce. So I really missed that opportunity. Thank you so much.
It's still not too late.
I wish I could
come with a mask and online.
Everybody deals with commerce in day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sir, on behalf, from myself, I would like to tell one thing, sir. Thank you, Carlton, sir. Thank you, Alston, sir. It was like having Mani Ratnam and Yash Chopra online. It was like the entire movie was very, very nice. From starting 8 o'clock up to 10:25 now, we have had a great time. Thank you very much for being online, sir. We are very sorry, but it's a little late. I understand, but thank you very much, sir.
Use Mani Ratnam.
So you can choose. You can choose, sir.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Sir, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Nice to see you after so many years.
I hope sometime we will
Thank
meet.
you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Pray for us to keep good health.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Mercy.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Ranjani. My offer is still open. Okay.
Thank the MC for the show.
Thank you, professors. I might take you up on the offer, Professor Carlton.
I will join once again.
Okay.
Okay, Professor Carlton
Thank
and
you.
Rozario. Thank you.
Thank you, professors.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Sunil, where are you now, Sunil?
In
Singapore.
London, Professor. I'm in London and Singapore. I split my time. Yes.
You started something
Yeah.
on your own, right?
Yes, I do my own investments. Yes, private equity still.
You know Balaji.
I know Balaji, yes, but I'm not in
Balaji
touch with him.
is in Loyola.
Okay.
He is in Loyola. So he was telling me about you, that you have left
Right.
the bank and now you are on your own.
Yes.
I missed you when
Sorry?
you came for the international meet.
Yes, I did. You were not there at that time. Yes, I came that
I
time.
was there, but I never knew that you were coming.
Okay. Definitely, sir. When I'm in Chennai next, I think I hope to come there next year when things are better in terms of traveling. Hopefully, look forward to seeing you.
We'll meet.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, can I switch it off? Can I switch off?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Sure. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.